Okay, so this is the second screencast, but it really goes along with the first screencast. The whole idea of neuralation has three ideas. The idea of how the neural tube is formed, you being able to label the picture, which is the skill, and this understanding or the application of the understanding, which is the speaking of the birth defect, which is called spina bifida. So closure of the neural tube does not occur at the same time along the length of an embryo. So if we take a look down at the bottom picture, let me get the arrow back, at the bottom picture, does not close at the same time. Okay, the area where the brain forms generally closes well in advance over the tail region, the caudal region, where closure is much more slowly happening. Spina bifida happens in about 1 in 1,000 births, and it's the failure of the embryonic neural tube to close. So that if you look up on top, you see the normal vertebrae, okay, with the spinal cord, and then you see a spina bifida, vertebrae, all right, which does not fuse, does not close, and it's most commonly seen in the lower back, the lumbar and the sacral regions. Well, because those areas at the bottom they close the slowest. Okay, so the vertebral process doesn't fuse, and what happens here? It leaves the spinal cord and the nerves exposed and prone to damage. We'll show you a couple of pictures in just a second. All right. So there we are, lumbar and sacral and advanced state. All right, the spinal cord protrudes. All right, the opening can be closed surgically. All right, so the severity of the condition, in fact, can vary from very mild to very severe depending on the consequence of incomplete closure. In the case of one kind of spina bifida, the splits in the vertebrae are so small that the spinal cord doesn't even protrude. In another kind, as you'll see in the picture, it forms a cyst, so it's called a meningeal cyst, which might include some portion of the spinal cord. And in the most severe cases, paralysis, bowel and bladder control could be lost, especially if it happens at the bottom of towards the tail region. So you can see a couple of variations of this. This is what it would normally look like in its most severe case. And in the diagram here, in the lower back, but there are upper and cervical spina bifida too, which is an issue for paralysis for the entire body. Okay, you see pictures of the spina bifida. You see this infant much further up in the back and taking off a lot of space. And this is what they call the meningeal cyst forming, and this has elements, spinal fluid, spinal cells in it. Could have partial of the spinal cord in it as well. All right, so this then is the application to the learning. There's going to be a couple of short videos to watch as well with this one.